You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz for great radio. Get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Y'all, the Confederate flag is a symbol of proud heritage. The good old days.
Good old days? Slavery. 5 facts about that flag. Kids! We're America's bright future. And we're kind of fed up with this whitewashing of America's dark past. We're not so down with this flag being up. If we're having this much trouble getting rid of a symbol of racism, we are in deep getting rid of real racism.
The Confederate flag ain't racist.
Fact number 1. In 1861, the Vice President of the Confederacy said the Confederate government is based on, quote, the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man. Please. Yeah, that's not racist.
It's a powerful emblem of pride.
Powerful? Oh, haha. You mean white power. With the racist Nazi swastika being banned in most of Europe, skinheads use the Confederate flag in its place. Winky dink! When Nazis use something as a racist symbol, it's got to be a pretty f***ing racist symbol!
Now you wait, it don't mean none of that white supremacy.
Really? In 1863, an earlier version of the flag had a white background, which the designer said represented, and I quote, the supremacy of the white man. Designed by a yeah, I'm not OKKK with that.
It's about our historical legacy.
Yeah. No. The Confederate flag was only just added to some southern state flags in the 1950s and 1960s as a way to show resistance to racial desegregation, school integration, and civil rights movements. Celebrating the ugliness of the Civil War to oppose civil rights?
It's just, but, come on, well...
The racist man who murdered 9 black people in a church
stood with this flag in a photo celebrating the racism it stood for. Yeah, flying this flag is not flying with us.
Sorry for using some bad language to make a good point.
But this flag is a symbol for the N-word.
And seriously deserves the F-word.
The Confederate flag is a symbol for losers. Like, literally, they lost.
Racism is not over.
But I am over racism.
We're the United States of America.
United. It's in our name. Hey.com.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network.
Welcome everyone. This is Watson Prunier. This is Watson Prunier from Battle for Freedom on Lanterns Radio Network. Sorry if I'm not looking into the screen often. I will be, this is my first live version, and I want to really cover what you just heard a few seconds ago. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/Watson, well, not Watson, The Real Watson, as well as my website, www.battleforfreedom.com. I just updated it, so there's a mobile version. There is also a desktop version. I think you will like it. It runs a whole lot faster and cleaner than it did before. But if you want to listen to my podcast in the previous times, go to www.lanterns.buzz. You can see my podcasts that are there, as well as if you go to Spreaker.com, and I'll make sure that you have the video available for you. So I'm completely going fresh on this because of the fact that this video was given to me a few hours ago. I was shocked, my mouth dropped, and I was struggling because of the fact that there are so many problems with this video, and I'm really disturbed by the lack of anger towards the ignorance that's placed in this video. And what's really interesting about this is because of the fact that if I could talk about anything about this, it would basically be yes, exposing hatred, exposing real hatred and racism exposed, if I wanted to go along with something like that. What I'm focusing on when you watch this video, there's so many different problems. First of all, let's just start off with the profanity. You want to use message like this, you want to try and get out truth. Were there some truthful facts in there? Oh, most definitely. But you know what? I've had people get angry with me because of the fact that when I show videos from Prager University that talks about racism, that talks about the racism of the Democrat Party, that talks about the racism in the Democrat Party, where these cities that are controlled primarily by Democrats are the cities with the highest poverty, highest crime, lowest education, and lowest success. The standard for success is mediocrity. So anything that you go for above that, that's basically looked upon as being white rather than being black and trying to be successful and get out of the hood. Okay? So we don't want to talk about that. So now we complain about the whole idea that we don't like the truth being shared on one side, but we don't want to cover everything else. So what we'll do is we're going to take a trip through that audio clip. So again, please work with me because I didn't dice it up the way that I wanted it to, and I'm just like really bothered by the way that this video's come out. But more than anything else, I'm bothered by the fact that this video, when you look at this, you can look at my timeline, you can see the indignation that's been on my timeline for the last half an hour, an hour. But if this video, and oh yeah, because of the fact that I was told that this wasn't racist, there were no racist connotations going with this besides the profanity, being concerned about this, what I'm going to do is, because of the fact that it was not racist, I decided that I'm going to build basically along the same lines and according to the same theme of the video, of the audio that you just heard, but the video is also on my website. So what I did to be prepared for this broadcast, because I'm going to be talking about truth. I'm going to be talking about truth in the black neighborhoods. I'm going to be talking about the truth in this video. I'm going to be talking about so much, but I could not do it if I did not have, check this out, I have Orange Crush, Grape Crush, pork rinds, and I've got myself some Cheetos. And a tribute to a brother who got killed a long time ago by the Popo, some Skittles. So, as we sit here and we start talking about what the problem with this video, if a white person chose, or a black person tried to make this video, or we basically got a group of people, a group of kids together. Maybe we decided to be mature and actually skip the things like profanity, that, we're worried about the nature and the mentality of our kids in today's world, and we don't understand why they're disrespectful, but when we feed into them a disrespectful nature, then we're surprised why they're running around with bandanas and ski masks and helmets on their head. While they're running around, you sit here thinking that it's only the neo-Nazis that have the Confederate flag or the Nazi flag. Guess what? Check those people's houses, and I'll bet you'll find many flags that are offensive that's going on in Antifa, in Black Lives Matter. But you don't want to talk about that, because right now the presence of the purpose is to make it seem like the only people in America are white racists. That the only people who are capable of being racist and hateful are white people. And so when I watch a video like this, it's only feeding into the ignorance called white guilt that's basically trying to make a remedy for atrocities, yes, as sad as they were, of atrocities that took place in the past. But the best way to do this, instead of promoting ignorance, how about promoting love? See, the problem that we're having a problem here is that we want to see this nation come together, but you have too many factions, too many agencies that are promoting one side, and they're not promoting the whole truth. They're not promoting the whole truth, so they only give you a skewed representation of it. But the rest of us, who are supposed to be high-minded and enlightened individuals who should be operating in love, why is it that our spirit of love is not drowning out the spirit of hate? And it's because of the fact that we bought into the hate. We bought into the lie. We bought into it, because make no mistake, white guilt is a lie. White privilege is a lie, and it's an affront to any Christian. I'm pointing you out. You're a Christian and you want to say white privilege, shame on you. Because if you believe in the sovereignty of God and you're going to sit here and talk about white privilege and how certain people are afforded things more than another person, if you believe that God is sovereign and you know that he can open up any door, don't sit there talking about how people will be blessed beyond other people. The Bible says he will reign on the good and the bad. He will choose, and it is at his discretion who chooses to be blessed and who doesn't. And even when there are agents of evil or people who try to get over, all we have to do is step in and be an agent of love. You don't have to go out there and make stupid videos and have children acting out of their way, promoting the promoting the fleshness that's in them rather than getting them to stand up and be more mature. But no, we've got the truth to get out. So I'm told basically there's no problem with the video because of the fact that, hey, but apart from the profanity, it's all truth. And I'm sitting here, and it's not racist. So let me get this straight. So is the picture, a video footage of what looks like a hillbilly, basically wearing a white T-shirt, well, not T-shirt, a white wife beater, tank top shirt, and basically speaking with a southern drawl, and happy to wear his Confederate flag, which of course he has the flag on top of his hat. Now, mind you, if we had me, a black guy sitting here, on this video that was made by Prager University, and had me wearing my, my New York jersey, and had my Skittles and my orange juice, and oh yeah, don't forget, when I come back from the commercial, hopefully I'll have my resist sign up in the corner, because I really want to show you how much is going on and how much I hate what's transpiring. But no, we want to choose ignorance. We want to promote ignorance and sit here and not bring America together. And again, I had to bleep out all the, let's see, there was a F word at 8 seconds, 10 seconds, SHIT at 25 seconds, another F word at 30 seconds, a B word at basically 43 seconds, the F word at 105, the D word at 123, S word at 126, F word at 159, N word, well, they didn't go all N word, but why at this particular point? Why hold back? Why hold back? But you got the N word, and basically, literally, in this whole video, there's no way to break down and not say that you wanted to say negative connotations against white people. But you go with this hip way, and you bring kids in to make it seem like it's the great thing to do. But honestly, all you sitting here is promoting hate. All you're sitting here is promoting hate. There was nothing instructional about this, because when you sit here and you only point out one part of history, and you neglect to talk about the rest of history, shame on you. Shame on you, because you're distorting the truth, and you have no desire to keep people informed. You only have a desire to keep people divided. And that's nothing but the work of the devil. Yes, you're acting like your father Satan, because he's the father of lies. And holding back the truth only makes you a liar, an agent of Satan, period, point blank, no questions asked. Shame on you. And shame on you of those of you who don't want to sit here and call out this thing as racist. Because you can't get any more racist than trying to point out a hillbilly wearing a white tank top shirt, talking Southern, with a Confederate flag on his head. I saw two guys at the state fair yesterday, and they were basically wearing Confederate flags. I am so angry I did not walk over to them and shake their hands. Why? It's because of the fact that, you know what, as much as I may not agree with the symbolism of what it represented, guess what? It's their freedom to wear that shirt. If you could turn around and wear a Black Lives Matter shirt and have a problem with a white guy wearing a Confederate flag, you're a hypocrite. Regardless of the history of whatever it stands for, if they're going to take pride in something, and you want to take pride in something, and you want to deny them that right, you want to basically make it a hate crime, you want to go out of your way to shame people because of the fact of things that they take pride in, shame on you. And people in the LGBT community as well. You want to take pride in the gay flag, so be it, fine. Believe the people who want to have their Confederate flags alone. Because guess what? At the end of the day, it's their freedom of speech. And the moment that we start trying to censor people on the way that they want to feel and believe, then we have a problem. You're against the Constitution. You're against people's freedom. And you should shut up and sit down. You got people who want to walk around with a swastika. I don't care for people walking around with swastikas. I don't care for it at all. But guess what? It's their right to even follow that level of thinking, if that's their grace. But if they choose that they want to act on, if them carrying and bearing those symbols allows them to carry on a mentality of superiority, and then they want to act out their fantasies on what their ideology would be, then there will be consequences to that. Because you come at me you will probably not leave in the same manner that you showed up. But until then, so be it. How is it that it's okay for us to censor other people in the way that they think? See, this is the problem with liberal progressivism. I'm calling it out as it is right now. Is because you're trying to control the way that people think. You're trying to control the way that people speak, even with political correctness. And now, here you're going on this huge campaign to basically deny the reality of people who American citizens who want to fly a flag. I don't have to fly the flag. I have no desire to do so. But you know what? Seeing this video, I almost went out and bought myself a Confederate flag just to wear it. Just to wear it. And I'm ready to even make my own T-shirts, White Lives Matter, and wear that. Because I'm tired of the white guilt mentality that just continues to push the mentality that racism is only happening by white supremacists. See, the things that you guys don't want to talk about is you're getting angry about that guy driving his vehicle and killing that young lady and also injuring those 19 other people. Why the hell were people showing up with baseball bats if they're peacefully demonstrating what was going on? And if you knew that there were people who were objectionable downtown with objectionable views, why in the world are you going to go into a hot situation so that you can protest it? Because if you're going to peacefully do it like Martin Luther King did, lock arms and basically walk right through all the hell. Why walk through all the other different things? But no, you can't do that. You can't do that, and you don't want to call that out. Why? Because it exposes the hatred and the racism in your own heart. You walk into a situation that there weren't homes down there. This is a downtown location. So there's no reason for the protesters to be out there. Guess what? Hey, weren't the Nazis meeting together the night before? Were there any protesters showing up with the tiki torches? Was it a big, huge disruption like it was before? No, because of the fact that people weren't aware what was going on. So guess what? There was a peaceful demonstration. Even with those people. But no, we don't want to talk about that. You only want to focus on what you can get on film and try and paste against the other people. Shame on you. You're hypocrites, you're partial, and you're not doing this unbiased. You can't be a Christian here and sit there and start taking sides. Read James chapter 2, verse 9, where it talks about God is not a God of partiality. And if you choose to be partial, if you choose to take sides, if you choose to choose one race over another, I don't care what your ethnic group makes up, you're partial, you're biased, and you're not doing it right. Man, I'm royal. I'm just really ticked right now because it's you sit here and you complain about a white family who is wearing a KKK outfit and they have their children wearing white robes and have a white hood on. What's so different between the hate that was in that video? There was no hate. Besides the profanity, you taught those kids and any other kid who watches that video that it's okay to be intolerant. Intolerant of people for another view. Hey, I mean, let's put this full circle here. Because of the fact that if you sit here and you basically tell these kids to be intolerant of people who want to have the Confederate flag, what's different than conservatives or any group who decides to want to be intolerant of people who have the gay pride flag? What's the problem of not? I mean, so then I guess it's okay to tell people to be intolerant of the people who have a black pride flag. See, it's okay, right, when we want to control the narrative, when we want to control the speech, when it works to our advantage. But if you're supposed to be an American and you want to be accepting, hey, isn't this liberal speech? We're open arms to everybody. Well, why can't you be open arms to the people who support the Confederate flag? Black and white. I mean, again, you don't have to agree with them doing it, but if you choose to be disrespectful to them, and then you have a problem with them being disrespectful to you, you're a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. So let's go to this audio for a second here.
Work.
Oh, no. Don't tell me I don't have this. So let's do this. I'm going to go back here. Cancel. Maybe this is a good time for me to slow down because of the fact that I am so angry. Ooh, I'm so angry. I just can't believe it as we sit here and look and see what these people are sitting here talking about. It's just nothing but utter ignorance, and it really bothers me because of the fact that as I sit here and I look at, when I look and see what these people are talking about, there's this whole idea of making it only seem like only one group of people are hateful. I say that you guys are full of poop, and there's just no excuse for it. There's no excuse to sit here and make it seem like only one group of people are hateful, full of hate speech, when I just watched this atrocity with these kids as they just did this nightmare. And I just can't believe that we can be happy with what we heard.
Y'all, the Confederate flag is a symbol of proud heritage. The good old days.
Good old days? Slavery. 5 facts about that flag.
So here, let's do this. Let's start talking about the whole idea is, you know what? Without the redneck and the white tank top shirt, without the basic decision to humiliate and make fun of Southern people, and we're sitting here talking about 5 problems with the flag. Let's get into this, but let's try and do this thing without the profanity, and let's have a discussion about this without the profanity, without the stupidity. But when I look at those kids who look like they were barely 8 years old, it broke my heart because of the fact that these are someone's kids who are going to turn around and probably be hating police, hating authority, because they have no respect for anybody else. Because they were just taught at a young age that it's okay to just utter profanity and hate people because of what they represent. And here you go. We just tried to focus on getting Americans to just love one another. Again, regardless of whether or not the president had flip-flopped on what he said, the first day that he addressed the massacre and the disaster in Charlottesville, he asked us all to love one another. Said there was wrong on both sides. He said, let's get beyond the hate and let's focus on loving one another. And when I sit here and I watch this and I listen to this, it broke my heart because this is not bringing us together. This is not bringing us together at all.
Kids, we're America's bright future, and we're kind of fed up with this whitewashing of America's dark past.
So we're America's future. And honestly, these kids and any other kid who watches this video, any other kid who finds humor or finds this enlightening, I don't want you in my future. I don't want you anywhere near my kids. Half of you will probably be strung out on drugs or prostitutes. You'll probably be having your hands out expecting the government to do everything for you. And this whole idea of whitewashing American history, what do you think happens when they remove the symbols? Because you sit here focusing on the idea that this Confederate flag is representing slavery when you forget that it's representing Democrat history. See, you want to talk about the whitewashing of history? Let's talk about the fact that when I went to school and they started talking about the abolition of slavery, they didn't say anything about the whole idea that there was only Republicans who voted to end slavery. They said, this is in public school, they said nothing about the whole idea that it was Republicans who voted to end slavery, make black citizens, and also give them the right to vote. Don't want to talk about that. In history, when we sit here talking about all these greats during slavery time and all these greats who stepped up into these great positions, you know what? I didn't learn until years ago through a video called American Politics Black and White, or American History Black and White, about the whole idea that you had blacks in government positions as Republicans from 1965 all the way to the 1930s. And there wasn't one black person in a Democrat position in government. Don't sit here and talk to me about the whole idea of, well, the Republicans now are not the Republicans of old. They're not the same people. You whitewashed history and didn't want to talk about the fact that there was Democrats who started these organizations, who started the KK, who started the Jim Crow laws, who started the voter intimidation that was going on when black people were trying to vote, and they were always voting Republican in the 1800s and the early 1900s, and you had white Southern Democrats who hated the idea of ending slavery, and they were standing there in the booths with guns, with pistols pointed right at the black people to make sure that they did not vote for a Republican. So as you sit here talking about voter intimidation and trying to shut them down at their lines in America today, shut the hell up, because you have no idea what you're talking about. You only hearing rhetoric that only feeds well into saying that, yeah, they don't want black people to vote. But you have ID to get welfare, you have ID to get food stamps, you have ID to go get alcohol, but you don't have ID to turn around and go vote. You can buy a 6-pack, you can buy cigarettes, you can buy all kinds of things with ID. But voting somehow now is suppression. I tell you, the suppression that's happening right now is you continually voting for a Democrat Party that keeps you dumbass stupid, that you can't understand that you're being manipulated. You're being manipulated into giving them their votes, keeping them in power, and keeping you poor and ignorant. That's the truth. That's the whitewash history. The whites who are controlling the Democrat Party. And oh yeah, you've got Andre Carson, you've got Julia Carson, you've got Sheila Jackson, all these powerful people, power to the people. And they're keeping you ignorant because they're the ones who are selling out. They're the ones who are turning around and selling out and taking a quick buck and allowing the communities to fall apart. Oh yeah, let's look at Chicago, where Barack Obama came from. Highest crime rates, highest shootings, highest deaths, highest gun control in the country, and highest corruption with black people. Hey, Ray Nagin, who forsook the people in New Orleans back in 2005 during Hurricane Katrina. Hey, who turned out to be corrupt later. Oh, black man, Democrat. Oh, we don't want to talk about that, do we? See, everybody's all angry, and you know what? Go listen to the profile of racism that I did with Alfonso Rachel from Zo Nation a couple of months ago. You can check out that podcast as we sit there talking about the anger and the frustration of people being angry in the Democrat Party. And you're still angry at white people. Oh, it's the perception. It's the perception that white people still support the Confederate flag that holds you back. Wow. So you'd rather go with the perception that white people hate you rather than look at the actual realization that the Democrat Party hates you, because if they did in these cities that were Democrat controlled, the education, the poverty, all these other things would come to an end. You can't blame Republicans for blacks not doing well in Detroit when it's been, 50, 70 years since a Republican was in control? You can't blame them. You can't sit here and constantly put this on the Confederate flag and the conservative and the GOP and Donald Trump is racist and Steve Bannon and all these other individuals and not look in the mirror. You know what? Guess what? No one told you to sleep with all those guys. Hey, that one brother you chose to sleep with, who already had 5 other kids from 4 other women and wasn't paying child support at that time, when you opened your legs to that individual, you opened up the door for failure and poverty in your life. Step up for the decisions that you made. When you chose to mess around with drugs, no matter the fact that white people got away with making drugs or selling drugs, it doesn't matter whether or not the crime for doing the drugs was not the same for whites as it was for blacks. The moment you chose to break the law, there was a consequence. And for many of us who continue arguing that it's not fair, it's not the same guess what? The wages of sin is death. And the wages of crime is imprisonment. So don't sit here expecting different results. You choose to break the law, you deal with the consequences of that. But no, we're going to deal with the whole idea of whitewashing history because of the fact that it's not our fault that we don't want to pay attention.
Not so down with this flag being up. If we're having this much trouble getting rid of a symbol of racism,
we are in deep
So the whole idea is it's not a problem of removing the symbol of racism. I think the biggest problem is removing the symbol of ignorance. I think the biggest problem is actually removing the symbol of ignorance because of the fact that we have too many people who are banking on the reality or the lies from the media, from our failed public education system. You're banking on those lies, and you're feeding it further into our generation that's tomorrow's future. And you know what they're going to do when resistance come? Hands up. The mantra, hands up, don't shoot, basically going to be the same exact thing. Hands up, don't shoot. But when the people come in to take over this country, going to be nothing but a bunch of pansies running the store, running the show. Because you'll do the best that you can to shut down the rest of us patriots who are just trying to live and trying to move America out of the slump that it's in right now. And it won't work if the rest of you keep thinking that it's the government that's going to solve the problem. You know that term, we the people? That's how you fix America. By we the people. Not by the federal government. Not by these organizations that are hell-bent. Look, I'm sorry. I voted for conservatives in 2016. I did so in 2014. And I knew that they weren't going to do what they were supposed to do. At least I had some hope that they would do something. But I know that they've done more in the last 20 years, in the last 30 years, than Democrats have done. You sit here, you want to keep voting for the Democrats? Tell me something. In the last 70 years, what has Democrats done? What has Democrats done to actually make black people more successful? Let's forget about the icon of hatred and racism, but let's talk about the icon and the statue of ignorance that's in the black communities. Because most of your black kids are not graduating high school. Most of them are dropping out because of the teen wedlock, out of marriage wedlock. No, we don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about the whole idea of Planned Parenthood being set up in all these communities so the kids can constantly run in and out in that billion-dollar industry aborting black babies. So we don't want to talk about that because right now it's Donald Trump's fault. It's the GOP's fault. It's the Confederate flag's fault. That's the real problem in America right now. Honestly, I wouldn't say it's that. I think the problem is forgiveness. And I'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's take a break. I need some water. I'm frustrated. I'm hot. This is Watson Prunier on Battle for Freedom on Lanterns Radio Network. Talk to you on the flip side. Welcome back. This is Watson Prunier on Battle for Freedom on Lanterns Radio Network, and I am so happy that you're still with me. Hopefully I didn't lose you with my earlier rant. I guess I'm just really frustrated because of the fact that I believe that our country could be so much better without the ignorance. Yeah, if you didn't see, I did finally put up my resist sign. I basically said, resist ignorance. Resist ignorance. That's what we need right now, because of the fact that if we cannot learn discernment skills and actually look through what's going on, because one of the biggest challenges we have to work on is we sit here and we try and understand truth. As we sit here and we try and understand the circumstances that are happening in everyday news. And while it would be easy to basically go quickly to associating with the color of our skin, with the culture that we are in, why don't we look at the bigger picture, take the 30,000 foot view. See, it's probably easy for me because of the fact that to a lot of people right now who may be watching or who will watch later on, I'm a sellout. I'm an Uncle Tom. Because I don't subscribe to the victimhood mentality. I'm sorry. I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that because of the fact that it is important that we choose and help people understand that, you know what, we have to have discernment skills. We need to learn how to think and not what to think. See, that's what's happening in our colleges. That's what's happening now in our schools. And see, people are against homeschooling. People are against basically a lot of the changes of common sense in our education system. And I'm telling you, most of our kids can't even reason their way out of a wet paper bag with holes in the bottom. Actually, I would say that they have both sides of the paper bag open, and the people are sitting there fighting, and they won't go in the easy exits that's provided for them because they can't see more than two inches in front of them. They've been blinded. Their ability to reason has been taken away from them, and it's a crying shame. It really is, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because of the fact that I believe that America is going to perish as long as we continue to have this ignorance being perpetuated in our country. Let's take a look more on the audio.
Rate of real racism.
The Confederate flag ain't racist.
Fact number 1.
In 1861, the Vice President of the Confederacy said the Confederate government is based on, quote, the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Can't argue with that. If that was being stated, yes, there was a white supremacy attitude that was being made. Okay? Now, one of the things I'm going to take issue with, because again, we're talking about this whole idea of whitewashing history. You went back to 1863, but you didn't say anything about the abolition of slavery. You didn't say anything about the whole idea of the Confederate flag. Put that aside. The South fought to maintain blacks as slaves, but they continued to fight even after that. So regardless of whatever the Confederate flag looked like, you still are not talking about the party that's represented by the Confederate flag. Talking about whitewashing history, I see what you did there. No.
Please.
Yeah, that's not racist.
It's a powerful emblem of pride.
Powerful? Oh, you mean white power.
And it's look at the subtlety of this. Because what annoys me is even with the tragedy of what took place in Charlottesville, is there's this perpetual desire to keep putting out code words, special code words. Code words that are associated with Donald Trump, the GOP, alt-right. Now granted, there's a lot about the alt-right I don't care for. Honestly, I had to fight a lot of the alt-right even while Obama was president. And I dealt with a lot of trash from the alt-right because these are the trolls that are on social media. So trust me, I've had my taste of them, but they weren't coming after me because of the color of my skin. They were coming after me because they were warped individuals. So make no mistake about that. They are problem. There are many troubled individuals who are in the alt-right movement. Am I going to say it's all of them? I don't know everybody in the alt-right movement, and neither do you. So this whole idea to blanket make a statement about these individuals, I think you should really be careful there. Because we could always just say that, hey, black people, all black people, wear their pants sagging. And they talk with slang. They talk in ebonics. They never graduated from high school, and they all are products of single mothers. Their fathers have abandoned them and walked away. Don't like that generalization, do you? You don't like the smell of it, do you? So why do you keep doing it? We'll talk about it another time.
The racist Nazi swastika being banned in most of Europe, skinheads use the Confederate flag in its place. Winky dink! When Nazis use something as a racist symbol,
It's got to be a pretty f***ing racist symbol.
Now,
So the whole idea of whether the Nazis use it or not, I'm not going to sit here and excuse what the Nazis have done. I don't think anybody should excuse what the Nazis have done. But what we're going to do is we're going to now start labeling what symbols can be acceptable and what symbols can't. Now, we're traveling down a very dangerous road here. And this is what we're teaching our kids to say. That we can now decide that we're going to discern and say and state with declarative statements and with profanity that certain symbols aren't acceptable. What's to stop them from making it the gay pride flag in the future? What's to stop? So if we turn around and we have conservatives making these videos, I know there would be uproar in the LGBT community. I know there'd be uproars even in the mainstream media. I know there'd be uproars around the world. And I'm telling you to sit here and now try to provide a form of censorship. It's a very dangerous road that you want to go down to, because of the fact that if you choose to do so, you're now inviting the same people that you want to empower to censor people, to censor indiscriminately. Once you let the genie out of the bottle, people, be prepared for all the consequences that come with that. Because a lot of you who have no problem with this video and you're Christians, wait till they decide that they're going to start banning the cross. Wait till they decide that they want to start banning Christian symbols. Oh wait, it'll be okay to do that because as a black person, if we want to ban the Christian symbols, that's okay because my color as a black person, my culture as a black person, that comes far long before my culture as a Christian, as a person redeemed by God, as a person who claims that my citizenship is not on earth, but my citizenship is in heaven. So when I allow my blackness, when I allow my sexuality to define, or even my political party to define my Christianity, it's perfectly okay. That's not biblical. I'm just keeping it real. It's not biblical. You're a Christian first, and everything else comes after. Like me, I'm Christian first. I'm a husband second. I'm a father third. I'm an American fourth. And if I consider ethnicity, I'm somewhere near number 10 because it's just not that important. But my faith comes first. And if you say that you're a Christian too, I think you probably need to do the same thing as well. That whole royal priesthood, citizenship in heaven thing, it's kind of hard to argue. I don't think it was saying I'm a royal black priesthood. No, it doesn't. There is no color that comes, unless you want to talk about the colors that are affiliated with being royal, blue, purple, and things like that. But there's no color that comes before royal priesthood. There is nothing. There's no culture. There's no gender. Nothing. Yeah, Galatians 3:28. There's neither Greek nor Jew, male nor female, bond nor free, for all one in Christ Jesus. So at this point, when heresies are being pushed out like this, and we let our color come ahead of us, we let our political persuasions come ahead of us instead of denouncing this hatred. Because guess what? When that hatred took place last week, there's a lot of people in an uproar speaking out against the hatred of what took place in Charlottesville. I abhor the hatred and the violence. I abhor it with all my heart. But at the end of the day, we could abhor what people are going to do all we want, but that won't change it. And taking down these monuments, that won't change anything. Take down the monuments of stupidity. Awaken people. What is it? Hosea 6:4 or 4:6? My people perish for lack of knowledge. I think that there are a lot of people who are making some very ignorant decisions right now, following heresies, following social justice programs that have nothing rooted in the gospel message. best way that we could redeem this world is live like redeemed people. And redeemed people don't take sides. The only side that you really need to be taking is God's side. And if you decide to infuse a social justice message into God's side, you're not reading the Bible. Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor. Love your neighbor. It's that simple. It's that simple. Just love your neighbor. Let's go back to the audio.
You wait, it don't mean none of that white supremacy.
Really? In 1863, an earlier version of the flag had a white background, which the designer said
represented, and I quote, the supremacy of the white man. Designed by a yeah, I'm not OKKK with that.
It's about our historical legacy.
So before we go on talking about the historical legacy, do you notice a lot of the cliches and the click words that are being used in this? KKK, white supremacy. Guess what people are going to be thinking about this on? Donald Trump. Donald Trump. See, Donald Trump, he's a white supremacist. It's really sad. I've been getting text messages so many text messages about trying to prove the corruption and the corruption and the racism of Donald Trump and people in his cabinet, but never do I get a text message about the corruption of Democrats. Never do I get a message about the corruption when people get exposed for illegally voting people. No, I don't get those text messages. I get text messages only about the corruption or potential racism of Donald Trump. Very interesting. Supposed to be unbiased. Supposed to be basically communicating the truth. We're not supposed to be taking sides, but we can only talk about when Donald Trump does something wrong. Odd. Doesn't show a bias? Doesn't show a level of hatred? Doesn't show a level of infatuation and obsession with Donald Trump? Every waking hour, I'm getting text messages all day long about, hey, this is going wrong. Hey, Paul Ryan said that Donald Trump is a racist. We got to believe it now. And the whole idea of him saying that he said there are good people on both sides. He said there are good people. He didn't say there are good neo-Nazis. He said there are good people on both sides as he's sitting there talking about the tragedy that took place in Charlottesville. That he is hoping that there are good people who are in the midst of that hate and stupidity who would finally step up and say, you know what, guys, this is too much. This is too much. We should not be carrying on like this. We are fellow Americans. We should have better respect for one another. And this violence is completely out of hand. But yeah, don't want to sit here and talk about the anger about what happens with the white supremacists. But I have not received one text message about what Antifa is doing. Not one text message about Antifa burning down Berkeley. Not one text message about that Antifa sitting there spitting on Donald Trump supporters. How can you be objective if you only see things from one side? And if your lens is, as a person of color, is to always look at the pain that you experience as a person of color, guess what you'll always only see is things as a person of color. And you lose all objectivity. And this is the nightmare that I deal with. Am I happy with Donald Trump as a president? No, I didn't vote for him. And I knew that he was going to implode. That's something I'll discuss on a later broadcast. But we want to talk about this video here.
Yeah.
No.
The Confederate flag was only just added to some southern state flags in the 1950s and 1960s as a way to show resistance to racial desegregation, school integration, and civil rights movements.
So, yes. So, if it was basically used to basically argue that stuff, so be it. Who cares? Because honestly, I'm tired of us constantly focusing on the 1960s as the time of a civil rights movement, because the real civil rights movement that we do not want to talk about in history class, in schools, and to our children, it was in 1865. The real civil rights movement that took place when you had all those Union soldiers who were fighting against the Confederate soldiers who wanted to protect the slavery and protect their states' rights. That was the real civil rights movement, when hundreds of thousands of American soldiers died. So if a guy wants to sit there and honor his Confederate relative who basically died in a battle, even though I don't agree with why they fought for it, I'm going to give him his right to respect and show respect to his father or his relative who died in that. That was the real civil rights movement, because it put an end to the slavery. We don't want to talk about that. No, we want to keep using this flowery approach about what happened with slavery. Oh wait, no, it's civil rights movement.
Fitting the ugliness of the Civil War to oppose civil rights?
Come on, well?
The racist man who murdered 9 black people in a church
Stood with this flag in a photo celebrating the racism it stood for.
Yeah, flying.
So basically, yes, was he wrong, Dylan Roof? But you just sit here and again, we want to skip 150 years of history and just focus on the polar ends of what works on pushing your narrative that racism only happens in the conservative movement. You see what happens here? Do you see what's happening here? Because when you sit here complaining about the rejection of segregation, things like that, you're going to the 60s, you're going to the 50s and 60s as we sit here talking about the civil rights movement, but you don't want to talk about everything that's gone on between the 1860s and the 1950s. Because that would actually highlight the racism of the Democrat Party. Oh, I see what you're doing there. So brilliant.
This flag is not flying with us.
Sorry for using some bad language to make a good point.
But this flag is a symbol for the N-word.
And seriously deserves the F word.
So the whole idea is that you're sorry for using profanity. See, now again, I gotta go back to the whole idea is if a Klan member wants to teach his kids to say, hate them N-words, you just did the same exact thing. You taught our children to be hateful, and you taught them to use profanity. There's no way around this. This is child abuse. This is child neglect. And if you as a parent allowed your children to be in this, you should have your children taken away from you. Shame on you when your message for the color of your skin exceeds the character that you should have had as not only a parent, but an American, to basically say, this does not bring healing. This only exacerbates the hatred and opens the wounds for people.
The Confederate flag is a symbol for losers. Like, literally, they lost.
So that's what I want to talk about here. Because this whole audio thing, this whole video thing, you're mad that Hillary lost. You're the losers. Because losers put crap like this together. Losers abuse children and have them using profanity for your message. You're angry the whole thing is because Hillary lost. Again, I didn't vote for Hillary. I didn't vote for Donald. But she lost, and you're putting crap like this together. You're sinking so low that you'll even use children. And that really says a lot about your character. It says so much.
Racism is not over.
But I am over racism.
We're the United States of America.
United. It's in our name. Hate.com.
So racism is not in our system. It's not in our culture, but this whole thing was filled with racism and hatred. This whole thing was filled with racism and hatred, and the whole idea of saying that we're united when putting a video together like this, that's not united. And the whole idea of you being effing hate.com, nah, that doesn't unite. That doesn't unite the Christians in this world, the Americans in this world, if you choose that you want to carry on like this. I'm sick and tired of saying that you're united and you put this hatred out there, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And any person who doesn't see the racism in this, you might want to look at look in the mirror and see the racism in your heart, because it's clearly there. And any person who chooses to do this again, you're nothing but a monster. And you don't deserve the right to be parents or humans. That's my piece. Watson Prunier on Battle for Freedom. Pasta la vista.